And like somebody needs to say this is like, you guys need to get over it. There will never be another downfall of us all. What is going on, guys? Thank you so much for joining me today. We are going to talk about A Day to Remember's newest album, and we're really going to just find out and see if it sucked or not, and just totally hear my opinion on that and what I have to say. Hopefully you agree, hopefully you don't agree, but if you don't agree, we can have a conversation about it. So let's get right into it. So it's been a full week now. A Day to Remember has just dropped their newest album, You're Welcome. And I believe it's very safe to say that the album is being pretty debated right now. The fans, I would say, are definitely not into it, and I for sure have a couple things I want to say about that. I do have to say this, A Day to Remember is one of those bands I truly do admire. They inspired a stupid amount of things in my life growing up. The friends I had in high school, me ending up straight edge, me playing as a frontman in a band, a ton of other things. So I really actually admire this band to the core, my man. Like even my introduction to the scene, if it wasn't for A Day to Remember, I'd be like a freaking country hick or something. So for this video, I definitely just want to look at maybe like the band's history a little bit and be able to formulate some sort of opinion on their newest album for You're Welcome.
Welcome to the eye of the tiger. Go!
That first week was absolutely brutal. I remember on Monday when it dropped, or Tuesday, whatever, if you go onto their Facebook, onto their YouTube, it was pretty clear to see that people were not happy with this album. And I would definitely say that the two biggest posts I saw were either it's too soft or they've officially sold out. Those were reoccurring posts, non-stop. They sold out and they've gone soft. I'm a huge fan of Finn McKenty from the Punk Rock NBA. He actually covered this topic a little bit and he kind of hit it from a specific angle. So go and check that video out. I definitely admire and respect that guy's opinion. However, I am going to try to hit this from a different angle and try to get some different thoughts across onto why I don't think it's a terrible album. First and foremost, this is just my opinion, 100% my opinion. Hopefully I can find some like minds out there. And yeah, second of all, just molest that freaking like button. Alright, so let's jump back 12 years, 2009, Ocala, Florida, metalcore band A Day to Remember just released one of the most iconic, if not the most iconic, metalcore album of all time, Homesick. Okay, yes, I know, we've got Old Record, we've got For Those Who Have a Heart, we've got And Their Name Was Treason. Of course I didn't forget about those. I have those on freaking hard copy. You know what? But if you ask anybody from my generation, the pivotal album from that period of time was freaking Homesick. Don't at me. So the first thing I want to address is this whole soft music issue. Why everyone is saying they've gone soft, and what are my thoughts on that? Well, here's the straight up facts. A Day to Remember has never had an issue writing soft music. I will take that to my freaking grave. In fact, are we forgetting that they closed arguably one of the most iconic metalcore albums of all time with one of their softest songs, If It Means a Lot to You? Let me just put a little something into perspective for you. If It Means a Lot to You has 67 million views on YouTube and 151 million streams on Spotify. Do you know what that's more than? Freaking everything. It's more than freaking everything. It's more than The Downfall of Us All. It's more than Since You've Been Gone from 2007. That one song literally almost has as many streams as Bad Vibrations does in its entirety. And I don't know why no one's talking about Bad Vibrations. I'll save that for another video. All I Want, Have Faith in Me, those songs they're softer songs, but they're the most viewed and the most listened to songs that they have in their entire discography. Times have changed, man. I'm not the same metal snob that I was 10 years ago. And I get kind of the disappointment. Let me put another piece of like disappointment and just kind of like a thought out there. Back in whatever year, a few years later, 2010 or whatever, they released a single off of What Separates You From Me, and it was Second Sucks. That was their first single off of that album.
It's not get the fuck over. Yo, I'm Snake. You butterballs come with me.
Second Sucks is one of the most wild, heaviest songs they've ever written. And when I had a mindset of, dude, my life has changed because of A Day to Remember. We've got this Second Sucks, metal to the core. Metalcore is my middle name. And what happens when they dropped If It Separates You From Me? It wasn't heavy. It was nothing like Second Sucks. Second Sucks was a standalone heavy song on that album. So back then in 2010, I was so disappointed from What Separates You From Me. And you know who else was disappointed? everybody, freaking everybody, go onto the internet and look up a review of What Separates You From Me from back in 2011 or 2010. Nobody liked this album. They were all so mad. Did they like Second Sucks? Yes, everybody loves Second Sucks, but as soon as that album dropped, they don't like it. Here we are, 10 years later, 11 years later, All I Want is their third most popular song of all time off that album. But back then, we had the same exact comments, the same critiques. They've gone soft, and they're selling out. This is nothing compared to Homesick. Come on, guys. I just have to keep thinking, All I Want had some serious longevity, and nobody could have predicted that. We just had the critiques from day one, from year one, whatever, and nobody knew it. But maybe A Day to Remember freaking knew it. A Day to Remember has never had an issue writing softer metalcore songs. Ever. They've never had an issue with that. What was my relation to Second Sucks in 2010 and then Violence in 2013? Not a single thing. I just wanted something to two-step to at a show. I wanted to show my friends that I listen to heavy music. That was my relation. What did I feel right here 10 years later when I'm listening to All I Want? Everything. It means everything. Fast forward 3 years after all that junk with their label, blah, 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 the drama, they drop Common Courtesy. And in my opinion, Common Courtesy was sort of like A Day to Remember's farewell album. Let me just explain that really quick before you have something bad to say. When we got to Common Courtesy, if you couldn't tell that they had so much fun and like they put what their current status and what their emotions and feelings were into that album, you're crazy. It was like their time as a band, touring, Warped Tour, everything emotional that they were feeling, all of that was just put into one album. I absolutely loved it. And if they would have announced like their breakup right after that album, I would have been fine with it. I would have accepted it. Did anybody out there actually dislike Common Courtesy? If you did, we have an issue, man. Here's something I have to say that I will also take to my grave. A Day to Remember always writes music about themselves and their current states, and in turn, that becomes relatable to their fans. That's kind of just like how your likeness to music works in general. Anybody's likeness to music works in general. If you vibe with a song, if something relates to you, you're just going to like it more. Common Courtesy was like the bow on top of like that generation and that time period where, you know, Warped Tour and metalcore was just like at an all-time high and it ruled the world, and like, you know, Common Courtesy was like the bow on top of that. The icing on the cake, the farewell. That's what I meant by that. So now we're going to transition into the next point of like music is evolving. Fans are getting older. A Day to Remember themselves are getting older. If you cannot transition well in anything, sports, basketball, and music, you're going to lose the game. If you can't adjust and transition in the music genre in your line of music, same deal. At this point of this album, we do not have to like it, okay? I don't love it, but we have to give them props for transitioning and trying to transition well, because that is the name of the game. I feel like I'm actually getting super far away from talking about You're Welcome at all, so maybe we should just like get back to talking about You're Welcome. Here's kind of like all I really have to say about the album, and from Finn McKenty's point of view, when he said, you know, one of his main arguments in his video was all about them trying to appeal to a bigger and larger audience. And honestly, I don't know if that's necessarily true. I'll admit it right here. At first listen to You're Welcome, I was very unimpressed. With the singles that came out, not impressed. With the thing with Marshmello, didn't like it whatsoever. It happens. But my question is, who is like A Day to Remember trying to appeal to right now? Go and listen to the song FYM. FU Money is what it stands for. Who is that freaking song written to?
And y'all can tell the boss, fuck you, I resonate. Auto reply permanently on holiday.
Are they taking it back to 2010 when they were trying to appeal to all the high school kids and, you know, playing in music, playing in shows, whatever, playing in garage bands? No, they're not appealing to that next wave of high school kids with that song. I think they wrote that song about themselves, and that is relatable to me, one of the OG fans, 28 years old. I wish I had some FU money. I could walk in and quit my job and flex and blah, 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 you know, tell my boss to screw off. You know what? That song's written to me, man. Sure, it doesn't sound like Second Sucks, or it's not written like Second Sucks, but does it have to be? I do want you guys to keep one thing in mind, that, you know, in the grand scheme of things, 5 years from now, this could be the worst studio album they've ever written, and everything I'm saying right now is completely bogus, but we'll just have to wait and see. Time will tell. However, I think we do need to give credit where credit is due with these guys. We're forgetting that A Day to Remember is super smart, okay? And they've been able to observe the scene through their music and what they write. In fact, they wrote one of the most iconic albums of all time for metalcore. And I just think they put what they wanted on this album for a specific reason because I think they're smart. I feel like at this point, if you've got like, you know, at least the same vocalist for the last 16 plus years, that's something to say for itself. Like all these bands that have that crappy album, they had like so many member changes. Like, I don't even know. Suicide Silence, you know, nobody liked that self-titled album. Huge member change, blah, blah, blah. You know what? We can at least count that as something. And like somebody needs to say this is like, you guys need to get over it. There will never be another Downfall of Us All. A song like that will never be written and will have the same impact that it did. It was such a different time, and like, we just need to get over that fact that we're never gonna have another Homesick, another Downfall of Us All. We all had to grow up, man. Warped Tour is freaking over. My knees hurt every time I walk. I don't even know if I can hang in the pit anymore. I don't have time to play in a garage band. Before I wrap this video up, I should probably just like actually wrap it up. I truly believe the guys in A Day to Remember are smarter than we think, and they're another couple steps ahead of us like they've been this whole time. And when COVID is over and we're all driving home after we just saw them live, after every single person in that venue sang Everything We Need together, it was the best thing ever, then you can tell me that the album sucked. Anyways, guys, I just want to say thank you so much for coming and hearing me maybe try and hit this from a different angle. Honestly, I am trying to like You're Welcome. I'm giving it a couple listens. I think I've listened to it maybe like 4 or 5 times all the way through. I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt. Am I the only like fan of A Day to Remember that didn't like Bad Vibrations? Like, I like it way more than Bad Vibrations. Personally, personal opinion, I think this is way more A Day to Remember than Bad Vibrations was. That's just my opinion, man. Like, am I the only one who thinks that? I do have to say this. If there is like a random point in this video that you think I need to expand on, or you would like some deeper clarification, please put it down in the comments and I will either comment back or maybe make it into a separate video. I know I kind of rambled on about just who knows what, and I could have probably said some stuff that who knows if it was true or facts, or if I even actually feel that way, but please make sure you comment and we can have a discussion down below. All I was doing was trying to hit the criticism in the comments, and you know, from a different angle, I am seeing a lot of negativity. It's got to be one of the worst feelings out there to put so much time and effort into an album, to be in the studio for so long, and when you release it thinking that you've created something totally awesome and cool, and have the fans react the way they did, it's got to be extremely heartbreaking. You know, I'm trying to give this album the benefit of the doubt, and I'm just trying to hit it from a different angle and see if I can understand what their thought process was, and maybe even think a little bit into the future to where I think this album might end up. Either way, guys, let me know your thoughts down below. I want to hear them. And at the end of the day, what makes this album bad? Comment that as well. Like, what made you decide to not like this album, or why do you think people don't like this album? Is it written poorly? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think A Day to Remember is able to just write bad music. They're smart. They know what they're doing. So, you know, is that what makes it a bad album? Is because it didn't have as heavy of songs as you wanted? I don't know. Did it have more too many pop-ish songs than you wanted? But does that make it a bad album? I don't know, man. I'm just kind of rambling. And if in 2 freaking years you see me roundhouse kick to Last Chance to Dance and I break both of my knees, you know what? A Day to Remember has the last laugh. They called it before I did. It truly was the Last Chance to Dance. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you want, and we'll catch you guys on the next video.